Alright, hello again, this is Jeff Scott, and I'm in the middle of Chapter 11. We've been looking at our form and talking now about HTML5 form validation. Okay, and what I want to show you right now is if I come over to my form, and this is the other one, this is the one that was done in the book, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. But if I come over to my form and I run my form under Chrome, and I click submit, nothing magical happens. All right, but if I come in here and I say I've got all that tab index stuff in here again, this is getting really long, but I'm going to hit enter here, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in required, and I'm going to put that in for every single field. All right. Are they all necessarily required? Maybe not, but in this example they are. Now you'll notice this is an HTML5, it's a new term, it's not red like some of the other ones are that have been around a while. Not sure exactly why that is. I don't have to put it for the state because one of the states is automatically selected. Oops. I'm not going to say that for the availability or the other stuff there. I don't think that that really makes a lot of sense. ID equals comments. Oh, tab index. Required. Yeah, and also typically like a comments field is really not required, so I won't put that in there either. But now that I put in a bunch of required fields, let's take a look at how this has changed. Now when I go in and I click submit, notice I get an error message. Please fill out this field. So that literally is what required does. It's a Boolean attribute that indicates that a value is required for the field. All right, the other stuff that's in here, I don't have a good form for talking about this, but the autocomplete, what that does, if it's set to off, it tells the browser to disable autocompletion. And if it's on, which it is by default, it'll automatically take things and attempt to complete them. So let's say I had a list where, let's say I asked you to put in your favorite programming language, and I had 50 languages in there, and you put in a P, then PHP might come up, and Pascal, etc. in languages that start with P. There's a no validate that says whether or not the browser shouldn't validate the form or control that it's coded for. That's not used that often, at least. All right. As of the writing of this book in 2015, most versions, newer versions of Chrome, i.e. Firefox and Opera, supported most of these things. Okay? All right, let's talk a little bit then about regular expressions as we're perusing our way through here. All right, they talk about pattern and title. Let's go back to the field that we had for the phone number. All right, notice we didn't put any placeholder in there. Well, that was just lucky on my part. I typically would have. But I am going to put one in. No, I'm not going to. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a pattern. And I'm going to say pattern equals, and I'm going to say I want 3 digits followed by a hyphen, followed by 3 digits, followed by a hyphen, followed by 4 digits. All right, so this isn't correct. And there's different ways of doing what I'm doing right here, just so you know. I'm just showing you one of what I consider to be the easier ways. right, so there's my pattern. I think it's pattern, but we're going to find out. So what this says is, in fact, I'm going to put here, I'm going to put a caret. And over here, I'm going to put a $sign. All right, and literally what this means is this must start with 3 digits, so numbers from 0 to 9, followed by a hyphen, followed by 3 digits, followed by a, 3 digits 0 through 9, followed by a hyphen, followed by 4 digits, and that's the end. So the caret means begin, the $sign means end. And these are patterns that I'm putting in here. So any number 0 through 9, 3 of them. Any number 0 through 9, 3 of them. Any number 0 through 9, 4 of them. So if I wanted to, I'm going to put this on the next line. But I could have said here, placeholder equal number dash number dash number format. So we're going to come in here and refresh, and now notice under phone number it shows the pattern. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put Jeff, Scott, 6, you know the drill, 004, South, County, Road, G, Janesville. It's already set to Wisconsin, so that's good, 53546. Now, I'm going to put a phone number in, but I'm going to put it in the wrong format. All right, it's 608-757-7784, but I'm going to add another digit. All right, I'm not a veteran. I'm available full-time. My desired salary, let's say $100,000. Comments, I don't work for peanuts. And I'm going to click Submit. Now notice, please match the requested format. See that? So I put a pattern in there, and when I click again, boom, everything worked. All right, because all of the fields were filled out. So what I'm trying to get across to you, what I showed you there was a pattern. And they show some in here also. I could have done a pattern for the zip code as well, and probably should have. So I can put that in. And notice that pattern. That says I can have 5 numbers, or I can optionally have 5 numbers with 4 after it. So I'm going to grab this pattern, because probably I'd do it wrong, to be honest with you. So I'm going to grab their pattern that they have in here for the zip code. And I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to come back in here. And for zip code, again, placeholder says enter zip code. Now I'm going to change that to number, or number, dash, number. All right. And again, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in a pattern. Now, this is going to say that pattern equals. Now, this is a little different than the other one. This \D means digit. So this means 5 digits. In the parentheses here, this means optional, followed by an optional hyphen and 4 digits. So this, instead of doing it like this, I could have put \D here, or here, or here. I'm going to leave it the way it is, just so you can see that there's 2 ways of doing it. All right, so I'm going to save this, come back again, and run. And let's see if can we automatically fill some stuff here. Good. All right, now I'm going to leave that correct. Okay, so all that stuff is okay. I just threw that number in there. But now for the zip code, I'm going to put a dash 000 because there should be 4 numbers here. Notice, please match the requested format. As soon as I put in another digit, boom, everything works. So that's what I'm trying to get across to you in this, okay? Just so you see it. All right, let's continue on. Data list, I don't have a data list in there, but notice it says in here, what is your preferred search engine? So a data list will show those so you can pick. Okay? All right. So if you type in something like this and you type in a G, it will show you Google and Bing because both of them have a G in them. All right? Email field, and I didn't put an email in here, and I really should have. And telephone. So I can put an email in here, but if I do, I'm quickly running out of room, in case you haven't noticed that. All right, so if I grabbed in here, and I took this first one here and said email, I'm going to get to the case where you're not going to be able to see the button again, which isn't really what I want. So this now it becomes, that was 4, that one should be 5, I believe, not 6. 5, 6 now for email address. I'm just going to call this email. And email. Now, I'm not going to put, I can put a pattern in there, but it gets to be pretty ugly. So I'm going to say, for placeholder, I'm going to say email, just email address. But there's something I do want to show you about this. And that is, I can say the type here, I can say email. If I do that, I shouldn't need to put a pattern in here at all, because it's letting the system know that that is an email field. In here I can put tel for telephone. The problem with putting tel is that is correct, but most browsers still haven't implemented that. So I'm going to come back to here, continue. Notice now I've got my email address. Oh, it looks like I still do have room, so that's good. And I'm going to come in here and automatically fill out my stuff as we did before. Boom, 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 boom. Notice it even filled that out for me, but I'm going to leave that blank. All right. Please fill out this field because I made it required, but I'm just going to say J. Scott. Please include an @ sign. So it knew that I had an email in here that was in the wrong format. All right. So 5, 6, so this should be 7, 8, not 81, so really screwed this up, 9. This should be 10, 11, and 12. And this should be 13, 14, and 15. All right, for my tab indices, whatever you want to call them. All right, what do we got left in here? Some examples. All right, that's their form again. I can have numbers with min, max, and step. All right, what does that mean? Well, how about if we go back to the salary? And I say that the type here is a number field. And let's assume, all right, let's say enter desired salary. Let's say salary. And I'm going to put in here a minimum of $10,000 and a maximum of $100,000. Okay? So I've got all this stuff, so I'm going to say min equals 10,000. Max equals 100,000. All right, you've seen this before, so I'm going to come back and run it again. Let's refresh. Okay. All right, now everything's filled in, right? But I don't have a salary, so let's now notice in here I could add it like this, but that's really a pain in the butt. First of all, let's put in here $600. I know that's a dumb salary, but I'm putting that in here. Please match the request. Well, that's for the phone. So please, let's see. Value must be greater than or equal to $10,000. Okay, so $6,000. Nope, that still isn't. How about $60,000? Yep, that's all okay. And if I do it again, just to check, and I come back in here. I don't know why it doesn't put those dashes in there, but it doesn't. But if I come in here now and say $600,000, it again says, please match the, oh, because I screwed that up. -7 must be less than or equal to $100,000. So you can see that it's starting to put some of the stuff in there for me. All right, so that was max. If I did want to put numbers in there, I could step, so I could do it by thousands or whatever. I didn't feel like doing that, but again, that would have been a possibility. Here's some examples that use those number and range controls. All right, I already, if we had a date and time, so maybe if I had a hire date or a birth date, I could put mins and maxes in there if I wanted to do that. All right, we could put a date control in there that literally had something like this where you could pick out your birthday, for example. All right, we talk about search functions. So we could put a search function in here as well. They show you the code for doing that in the text. Speaking of the text, because I've been kind of going past it, the regular expression stuff was on page 401. To learn more about regular expressions, I'd recommend going out to regular, the word regular, hyphen, the word expressions, .info, regular-expressions.info. The data list we talked about appears under the field as the user begins typing into it. The HTML5 controls, we looked at email, we looked at tell, we looked at number. I talked about date, but we didn't do anything with it. All right, we talked a little bit about the search control, and the code for putting it in if you want to do that is on page 411. Again, it's almost impossible to write a form the way I've been writing it and get everything I want on the page. Okay? There's a color palette, so if you want to work with colors, you can. Choose your favorite your background color or whatever. So you could do that. I didn't feel like doing something like that. That's shown on page 413. You use the input element with color as the type if you want to do that, to bring up a color palette. All right. You can have progress bars if you want them. You probably have seen things like these before. Highs, lows, min, max. So if you want to, sometimes if somebody is filling out a form and you want to show them how far they are in it, maybe you've done that. I have before. All right. So these types of controls are designed to display data in progress bar or meter form. Okay? Now, the rest of the chapter, pretty much the rest of the chapter, pages 418, 419, 20, 21, 22, and 23, yeah, the rest of the chapter, talk about this particular form. And this form, it's also shown right here. I didn't write this. This comes with your textbook. But you should be able to look at it now and figure out what works, what doesn't work, why it doesn't work. Notice the fields that are red. Those are required fields. So the author used CSS to show you required fields. The author put in some placeholder text. All right, so you can see that. The author used field sets. Drop downs, a month indicator, all right, a number indicator. Notice 1 is the minimum and 4 is the maximum, etc. So again, I can start filling this out. J. Scott. All right, then it looks for things that are in common from what I filled out before, and it'll fill that in for me. Password. Hello, 1, 2, 3. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that would give me an error, so I'll just keep it like it is so it's correct. Put my dash in there, submit. Please fill out this field. Starting date, we'll put in that. So what have we done here? Well, we actually wrote out a file here that put in the values of everything that we've entered. So if the person had entered stuff into a form, we could set out some kind of a form letter that had all of the information. Now, what I want to mention about that, though, is if we go back and we look at the form, and not mine, but their form, I'm done pretty much with mine. But if we look at their form under Town Hall here, and it's member.html, there's just one thing I want to show you with this. Okay? So open with, come on. I want to open, jeez Louise. I want to open it with Notepad++. All right. The thing that you have to understand is under the form tag, wherever the hey that is, okay, that's the file that we called. Now, normally that won't be an HTML file because that's a server side. I'm sorry. Remember, HTML is a client-side file. Normally, you would be calling a PHP file or something else. You go through PHP and ASP.NET in your second year of the program. In the first year, all we concentrate on is client-side. We get into the server side in the second year, so you're aware of that. All right, we're almost finished here. So the HTML for the form is shown. CSS for the form is shown. It's a really nice example. Okay, so you can take a look at that as you get time. So when I come back, I do not want to save. When I come back, and I don't need to close that also. When I come back, though, one more time, I am going to be going through Chapter 12. Chapter 12 is on adding audio and video to the site. Kind of neat stuff. So we'll take a look at that in just a couple.